What's going on, everyone? So what a drastic turnaround in a not good direction. The Golden State Warriors, right? I mean, this was a team that was looking like every bit of a contender. It was like, wow, like, man, are the Warriors really back? Is this sustainable? How good are they going to be? And I didn't buy it. I talked about it, and I was like, hey, I might end up being wrong, but I think at best they're probably a really good regular season team. I think unless they get another star, they're not really a contender. They're not a team that I see getting out of the first, second round. And now, I mean, I didn't think it would go this bad this quickly. I thought that they would probably be, middle of the pack, maybe like fighting for a 5-6 seed. And they aren't. They are hanging on by a thread to just being in the play-in. Right now, the Golden State Warriors are 16-16 as the 10th seed. They're tied with the Spurs for the 9th and 10th. However, they're only half a game out of the Phoenix Suns from being out of the play-in entirely, and they are essentially 2.5 games, really 3 games, because Lakers just won their previous matchups, from being an actual playoff spot, being a top 6 seed. They're right now a play-in team at best. And you saw guys really overachieve. I mean, Buddy Hield was playing like he was prime Steph Curry. And it was just like all these guys, DeAnthony Melton was doing great. And then he goes down with injury. And it's like, okay, well, they got Schroeder in. And Schroeder's having his struggles, which is understandable. I mean, he's just getting to this new team and stuff. But if you're the Warriors, like, what do you do at this point? Right? Like, they have to get another star. But who's that star? Because Jimmy Butler supposedly is off the market. Now, could that just be a ploy? If the Warriors put together some, Godfather package where it's like, say no to this type thing. Do they really say no to it? Probably not. Maybe they would. I don't know. I mean, it's Pat Riley. Pat Riley's not really like, if he has his mind made up on something, that's just how it is, right? So he's off the table. Do you go get like a Brandon Ingram? Sure, but it's like just Brandon Ingram plus Steph and whatever you have left, does that make you a contender? I don't really think so. Like, I think it'd make them better. They'd probably be a playoff team. But, Brandon Ingram and his injury history on top of, he wants a max contract. So it's just like, are you really going to sell the farm to go get him? And then now you're kind of obligated to go pay him. And, I don't think that that's the answer. If De'Aaron Fox does become available, like, that makes a lot of sense. But problem with De'Aaron Fox, like, I don't think he's going to be available this season. I think he'll at least finish out and ride out this season and kind of play it by ear and then get into the offseason and then be like, all right, it's time for me to go. It's time for me to get out of here, which at that point, it's too late for the Warriors. There's not really many options. They go get a Zach LaVine and overpay for him, and now they're stuck with his contract and stuff. And is Zach LaVine and Steph enough? Right? Like, I've talked about Zach LaVine on like the Lakers, but I think that makes sense. They need that kind of consistent go-to scorer, and I think him alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis is enough to really elevate. But is him and Steph with like Draymond, is that enough to elevate? I don't think so, personally. Although I think it'd be fun, right? Like, a guy that just goes score from everywhere on the basketball court, give you that athleticism. And this is the problem that the Warriors are in. There's not that guy that they, like, if Giannis was available right now, I'd be like, watch out. Warriors need to do whatever they can, sell whatever they have to. Anything not named Steph Curry, you go get Giannis and let's go, right? Something like that. I'd be like, yeah, this is what you need. But if you're the Warriors, like, what do you do? If you're Steph, what do you do? This is why I've talked about, like, one, the Warriors need to pick a direction, right? You're either selling the farm because they're still like reluctant to give up Kuminga and stuff. Like, how much of that is just trade tactics where it's just like, we love this guy, we don't want to get rid of this guy. What are you talking about? We're not just gonna give him away, right? Like, he's our future. Okay, well, if that's the case, then trade Steph, right? Because again, I've talked about this. The Warriors are operating on multiple timelines here. They're trying to maintain the youth and flexibility while still, trying to build a contender around Steph. And it's just like how, Sway? Like, you're operating two different things. They're two different paths that go in two completely different directions, and you're never going to be able to meet in that middle and find that balance. You're not. So either A, you need to figure it out, push chips in, and maybe that's getting multiple pieces. Maybe that's getting, one of these centers, like maybe it's a Nikola Vucevic, and maybe you're trying to get a Brandon Ingram, right? I mean, that's the money that Jimmy Butler makes, right? Maybe that's enough because you got a 20-10 center along with a, two-way versatile kind of scoring wing, right? Like maybe that's the approach. Again, just things that are popping in my head. I'm not necessarily saying that that's it, that that's what they need, but they gotta pick a direction is my point. Or you just talk to Steph and you just say, hey, buddy, where do you want to go? We're not going to be there's nothing here right now. There's not that magic fix, that magic elixir that's gonna be the trade that changes our fate and all that stuff. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to ride this out and see, maybe something comes at the trade deadline? Maybe in the offseason we can go get that other guy for you and kind of ride out the last 2 years and we could see, or do you want to be traded? Or do you want to wait to make that decision at the trade deadline? And I just think you at least have that conversation with Steph. And just see what Steph might be like, hey, you know what? I'll ride it out. Whatever you guys can do, you guys can do. Like, I owe it to you guys owe it to me. Like, whatever, right? Okay, fine. You try to see what you can do. And then in the offseason, talk to Steph again. Like, hey, buddy, look, we tried. We got our young guys. We got to pay Kuminga. We got to do all this stuff. Do you want to stay or do you want us to trade you? And he might go like, hey, trade me. And I think you do right by him and you get out scot-free and you just say, hey, look, Steph, we owe everything to Steph. He's the greatest player in our franchise, right? Like, completely changed the game. But we're in two different paths, two different timelines. We tried to make it work. It's not working. And we wanted to do right by Steph, right? We wanted to make sure we were doing our job and our due diligence by Steph and making sure that he was able to go to a place that he wants to go to. Boom, you guys look like, like the Saints, right? Like, and then now you can keep the young core, add some other pieces, whatever young talent and draft picks and stuff you can get for Steph, you get for Steph from whichever team he wants to go to, and then boom, there you go. Now you're headed in the rebuild direction. You can kind of lay the foundation for that next wave, right? Perfect. Or maybe Steph says, like, hey, you know what? I just want to retire a Warrior. I don't care, right? If we're fighting for a play-in every year, that we're fighting for a play-in every year, right? I don't want to be in another jersey, even if it is like the Lakers and LeBron. Like, yeah, I'd love to play with LeBron, but I don't want to wear a Lakers jersey. I want to wear a Warriors jersey, right? Like, you might get that conversation. You might get that from Steph, and there you go. But at least you did your part. We talked to Steph. We try to do right by Steph. Right? He wants to be here. We want him here, but hey, he's willing to ride it out. If we can make that push, if Giannis does become available, then we'll make the move and we'll get a guy like that. But it's crazy to see how quickly they went from like, boom, like, oh my gosh, this team is ridiculous. They're incredible. Oh, here it comes, right? To like, are they really about to miss the play-in? They're going to be playing team again? Right? And it's just like the law of averages have finally set back in. And the law of averages have shown that this team isn't very good. They're a borderline play-in team. And, could part of it be just they're in a bit of a funk, a little bit of a struggle? Sure. Right? Like, could they turn it around slightly? Sure. But I don't think they're as bad as they've been recently. But I don't think that they are as good as they started out. I think it's somewhere in the middle. What is that, though? Is that a playoff team? Is that like the 7th or 8th seed in the play-in? Is that first round exit? Is that even missing the playoff? Maybe losing in the play-in? Right? Like, where's that gauge for them? That's the problem. And I don't see the answer that's available. Right? Like, Jimmy Butler made the most sense because it's like, Jimmy Butler's done more with less than any star in the league. Right? And Steph won with Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, who is a shell of himself in a lot of ways, and Andrew Wiggins as his second best player because Steph was so great and Wiggins just had like an all-star level run. So if you give Steph with Jimmy, it's like no one would want to play that. No one would want to see that team. So it's just kind of like, okay, that makes sense, right, to an extent. But beyond that, it's like, what else? Like, who else are you getting? Who else makes sense? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think that the Warriors will be fine? They'll figure it out. They'll get a guy. Is there anyone in particular that you like? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.